Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And today I'd like to share with you about why should an employee, a hybrid employee, ever come to the office at all. That's a question I get asked a lot by employees, especially in focus groups in hybrid workplaces, but also leaders who want to figure out, well, what are the good reasons for my employees to come to the office? Because the commute is something that people really hate. People who work in offices overwhelmingly don't dislike the office. They dislike commuting to the office. It's understandable. It takes over an hour a day on average, and that's just one way. It costs many thousands of dollars per year in gas costs, car wear and tear. You need to have your office lunch. You need to put on fancy, nice clothing and get them dry cleaned and so on. It's not fun. Longer commuting times are especially clearly correlated with worse job satisfaction, increased stress, and poor mental health, because the commute itself, it's not simply the money, but it's also the stress, the labor of the commute. It's really stressful to drive and have people be honking at you, worry about getting killed. It's the time of the day when the large majority of us are most likely to get killed or get into a serious injury, accident situation. Not a great time. So people want to avoid the commute. It's understandable. So you want to convey to your hybrid workers that you are trying to minimize their commuting time. That's crucial for having really successful hybrid work arrangements. So use the data that I'll talk about here to make good decisions about the best ROI, return on investment, for coming to the office, for an office work, and focus on high impact collaborative tasks for getting people into the office. So making commute to the office worth the commute. You don't want people to come to the office, do the same things that they would be doing at home, or to come into the office and do things that they feel are not worthwhile done in the office. So you want to communicate the value of coming to the office, and you want to get activities bunched up together as much as possible for those face-to-face time. So develop a communication strategy to show your hybrid employees why they should come to the office so that you get their buy-in. So convey that you have a commitment to actually minimizing the amount of time that they're commuting. That's what you really want to convey, so that they trust you and they see that you care about them. So you want to get the activities that require face-to-face presence that are best done face-to-face together on as few days as possible. So doing so will help improve employee engagement and retention and reduce burnout. Let's talk about individual tasks. Majority of the time of employees is spent on individual tasks. Let's be honest about that. Let's not kid ourselves about employees should come to the office and work on their computers on their individual tasks. The large majority of people would much rather do that at home. They're best done at home for higher productivity, focused individual work. I can't tell you how many people tell me that, hey, my boss is making me return to the office and I find I'm really distracted doing my individual work in the office. What's up with that? Well, it's understandable. You're not distracted by others who are in the office. This is a problem where leaders say, well, you should come to the office 3 days a week. But really, what people come to the office and they work on their individual tasks, that's a very unproductive use of their time. Also, your asynchronous communication and collaboration. There's no need for you to come to the office to work on emails, to work on Slack messages, Microsoft Teams messages, to work on Google Docs if you use Google Docs, or Microsoft Docs if you use those, which you collaborate on with other people. So you don't need to do that. You don't need to come into the office to do video meetings, to do phone calls. You're distracting others and they're distracted by you, especially in those big open offices, but even cubicles. Not a good use of your time and space. The office is very important for certain things, for high impact, lower duration activities that are about collaboration and face-to-face interaction. So what's the office is for? It's for face-to-face collaboration interactions. That's the main use of the office. Now, some people who don't have very good workspaces at home or who have difficulty with work-life balance, separation. They will still, of course, use the office to work on their individual tasks and emails. That's fine. They should be able to do so, and you should provide them with the ability to do so. But you shouldn't force people to come into the office to do those things, because the large majority of people find that doing these tasks at home is more productive, and they hate coming to the office and then actually suffering the indignities and strain and labor, wastefulness, money, and so on of the commute, and then doing the same thing that they would do at home with working on their individual tasks. Let's talk about the things that are best done in the office. Intense collaboration is clearly best done in the office. So teams coming together in person to solve problems, make decisions, align on strategy, develop plans, build consensus around ideas that perhaps they brainstorm remotely, or maybe they do some brainstorming in the office. So face-to-face interactions are really good. They allow for you to observe other people's body language and pick up on those subtle cues about what's important to people, get those nuances in. So that's really good. This is a good place for empathy. In-person interactions, these intense collaborations, they facilitate empathy. They build mutual trust and connection. It helps maintain strong team bonds. So that is really valuable for a team. Also, the office just provides a good setting for it, because there's meeting rooms with whiteboards, other tools. It provides a good mental context for employees for collaboration, where that is not the kind of thing that they're used to doing in their personal home offices. So it helps them be more cooperative, more inventive, if they're in that mental context. Okay, second thing. So that's one. Challenging conversations. Conversations that are somewhat more intense than the kind of conversations that are good to do in video conference meetings. Face-to-face is best for emotional or conflictual situations. So, for example, performance evaluation conversations like one-on-one weekly meetings with your team lead, human resource concerns, conflicts that started remotely and couldn't be resolved, maybe if a leader is trying to convey strategy to their team. Those are all the kinds of conversations that are good to have in the office. Next, cultivating team belonging. So socializing, team belonging, organizational culture. When we connect to other people, the large majority of us prefer in-person connections. That offers a deeper group belonging, again, not for everyone, but for the large majority of us. Virtual events, you can do those, and plenty of my clients have succeeded in doing those. They can be fun, but for most people, it's easier and more effective to connect in person. So in-person activities help groups cohere together, and that's very valuable. As a case study, let me share with you an example of my client, the University of Southern California Information Sciences Institute. So this is a 400 people AI and cybersecurity and other information sciences institute that organized retreats at the group and division levels and social events for the whole organization, which helped facilitate a sense of belonging and connection. So that was very useful for them. Now, you also want to think about in-depth training taking place in person. Professional development has been shown to be very valuable for retaining your employees, and online education is sufficient for most of these sorts of things, remote education, asynchronous or synchronous, so webinars and so on. But face-to-face interactions are best for more in-depth, longer training, more intense training, where you want people to collaborate together. Because trainers can read body language and adjust their approach, and trainees can interact with other trainees more naturally than in a breakout room. That helps build trust and improves learning retention. There's also some physical props and customized spaces which help learners engage with materials. Then mentoring and related things like leadership development, on-the-job training. The office is really valuable for such informal professional development, where mentors and supervisors, they can provide quick feedback. So mentors for mentees, for on-the-job training supervisors, senior colleagues. It's difficult to do so in remote settings. It's certainly doable, but it's more difficult. In-person allows for real-time question and answers, which is really helpful. It's also easier to navigate emotions and egos. So mentors and mentees need to develop relationships that are based on trust for mentees to reveal their weaknesses and be vulnerable. And that in-person setting really helps cultivate such trust. There's also research that there's decrease in cross-functional weak connections when people work remotely. For example, there was a 17% decrease in connections made by new hires during the pandemic. Remote workers built actually closer intra-team ties, so within their team, but weaker inter-team ties. So those weak ties between teams deteriorated. The loss of such weak ties can be a problem because many innovative ideas come from cross-functional inter-team collaboration between different teams, so cross-functional collaborations. Spontaneous interactions can help facilitate such cross-functional connections. So those spontaneous interactions are easier in person. Of course, they're doable. You can do in these spontaneous interactions virtually, but they're easier. They can drive innovation, they can develop those weak ties. So replicating them remotely is difficult. Of course, there are fully remote organizations, and I worked with them that did so, and I helped facilitate those, but it is difficult, it requires more effort and intentionality. In office, definitely it's going to be easier. It's a natural setting for such interactions and their benefits. Now, optimal schedule. Surveys show that 1 day a week is an optimal balance of connection and job satisfaction for most companies. It reduces burnout, it improves retention and engagement. 2 days a week is going to be better for junior staff and people in leadership roles. Junior staff gain integration into the company, into the team, and mentoring, and leaders help provide oversight and coaching, coordination, collaboration. So you want to develop and implement a clear hybrid work policy with clear communication. You want to explain your approach, get feedback, and make tweaks over time, and that will help you get employee buy-in on this hybrid work policy. All right, everyone. I hope you found valuable this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show on why should a hybrid employee come to the office. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show, whether in the podcast form or in videocast, and please leave a review. It really helps us improve the show and it helps others discover the show. All right, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. And in the meantime, the wisest and most profitable decisions to you, my friends.